Tonight, the remarkable run for Canada's teenage tennis sensation. Victoria Mboko bounces back. How the rising star rallied to keep her dream alive. What's behind the cracks in the Team Canada approach to trade talks?
I could ask the people, do you trust President Trump? I don't.
And potential summer travel turbulence.
I think this change is very short-sighted.
Why Air Canada isn't scoring brownie points with some passengers, and the vacation advice on navigating a possible strike.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Marcia McMillan.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. Canada's rising young tennis star, Victoria Mboko, has battled her way into the National Bank Open final in Montreal. A thrilling semifinal comeback for the 18-year-old. Mboko is now just one win away from completing her magical Montreal run with a title on home court. She fought through 3 tough sets to beat Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan. Mboko not only overcame her opponent, but an injury scare earlier in the match.
Unfortunately, I fell, but I had everyone supporting me and pushing me through. So without you guys, I don't think I would have been able to pull this through.
Congratulations, and you're going to the final.
Oh my God.
TSN's Mark Masters is in Montreal with reaction for us tonight. Mark.
At the start of this tournament, Vicky Mboko did not have a headshot on her bio page on the WTA Tour website. Now the 18-year-old is in the championship match. This win Wednesday night, the grittiest, gutsiest during this incredible run here. She lost the first set 6-1 without holding serve even once. In the second set, she blew leads of 3-love and 5-3 before steadying herself and forcing a decider. In the third set, she needed a medical timeout to deal with a wrist issue after a nasty fall. She fell behind by a break twice, rallied both times, including saving a match point and winning eventually in a match tiebreaker. Now she's beaten 3 former singles Grand Slam winners during this run, the first Canadian to do that in a WTA event. And on Thursday night, she's got a chance at another first. She can become the first Canadian in the Open era to win the Canadian Open singles title here in Montreal. Back to you.
TSN's Mark Masters in Montreal. Thank you, Mark. Turning now to some wild weather earlier this evening in Manitoba. Tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings had people taking cover and staring down dark skies. Several reports of funnel clouds and golf ball-sized hail were received by Environment and Climate Change Canada. Some neighborhoods saw downed trees. A meteorologist told CTV News no tornadoes have officially touched down so far. Backyard and beach bonfires have Newfoundland and Labrador officials seeing red. While fires rage and people are forced to flee their homes, some are choosing to defy the ban, and the Premier is cracking down on them. CTV's Garrett Barry reports.
I'm so disappointed and frustrated and angry.
As wildfires burn in an unseasonably hot and dry summer, Premier John Hogan says it's unbelievable that municipal fire departments are still getting calls about beach and backyard bonfires.
Minister Haggie said it is nuts. The province is on fire, and we only have so many assets to go around.
Breaching fire bans might mean stiffer penalties. Today, those can go as low as $75.
In my opinion, those fines are way too low.
Hundreds have been forced from their homes in this province as 3 wildfires burn out of control in Central and on the Avalon Peninsula. Smoke is making it hard to assess the damage and see how many structures have been burned, though some have heard their houses are lost.
It is what it is. I got the important things out. My family and my pets are all out, and the rest is insurable and replaceable.
The province has received aid with aircraft from New Brunswick, but evacuation advisories grew again today.
Here in Conception Bay South, the town's mayor said he had to send staff out to a popular beach last night to make sure no new bonfires were set.
We had to deal with a couple of bonfires in yards last night as well. So, we're just asking people, boys, don't light the fires, right? Just give it a break for a while. We need a break.
The week-long forecast shows no rain at all over the 3 wildfires, meaning very little natural help for firefighters. That's part of the reason why officials are urging residents here not to make the situation worse. Garrett Barry, CTV News, near Holyrood, Newfoundland and Labrador.
In British Columbia, a break in the weather is helping out firefighters trying to protect hundreds of homes on Vancouver Island. But they're far from out of the woods as a new threat is spreading fear online. Here's CTV's BC Bureau Chief, Andrew Johnson.
From the air and on the ground, firefighters are throwing everything they've got at what may be the largest wildfire to ever threaten homes on Vancouver Island.
We often think that we're in a rainforest and that it rains all winter, but this speaks otherwise.
They're getting some help in the form of cooler temperatures and a bit of rain, with hundreds of people still out of their homes.
There's a lot more work to do. We are one wind shift away from holy crap.
That work is also being done overnight by crews in night vision equipped helicopters.
The Overwatch helicopter has a thermal imaging camera, so it sees heat. And on the camera, on the crosshairs, we have a laser. And we fire a laser beam the size of a car. And so it's easy to see under the night vision goggles.
The province is also warning against other emerging tech. AI-generated fire images that look worse than the real thing are circulating online. People are being urged to stick to reliable sources rather than social media.
The message that I have to British Columbians is please be cautious of where you get your information. Be aware of AI-generated content.
Another message being sent in areas under a campfire ban: don't even try it, after conservation officers wrote up $30,000 worth of fines over the long weekend.
We know they try to hide away, and that's where we're getting a lot of these violation tickets, kind of snuck away off the road, and that's the places we're looking for these fires.
But it's not a campfire near the evacuation zone getting the most attention. It's this dog found seemingly left for dead, chained to a tree and very thirsty.
Somebody has to be pretty desperate, right? Or in bad mental health, or an evil person, or there's no reason that anyone needs to do this.
The woman who discovered the dog got a hold of the SPCA, who say the 2-year-old is doing well and is very friendly. No sign of the owner or any indication why the dog was left behind. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
A U.S. congressman is calling on Canada to do more to stop wildfire smoke from spreading into his state. Republican John James from Michigan wrote to the Prime Minister calling the smoke a public health emergency, specifically citing the Manitoba wildfires and singling out the Premier for having dismissed those concerns. Wab Canoe responded today.
Who can't get any attention on his own, so he's got to go in public and throw a timber tantrum, as we're calling it around here. So on the one hand, try not to take it too seriously, but on the other hand, let's be realistic. Tens of thousands of people have been forced out of their homes. Lives have been lost, huge impacts here. This is not the kind of thing you should be playing around with.
James says the smoke is actively damaging the U.S.-Canada relationship. Now to the trade negotiations with the U.S. and the best way to move things forward. The Prime Minister was back in Ottawa today, strategizing next steps, while Team Canada is starting to show some cracks. Here's CTV's senior political correspondent, Mike Couture, with the latest.
The Prime Minister was tight-lipped ahead of a virtual meeting with premiers to talk about trade negotiations with the United States. But after it, Ontario's Doug Ford wasn't holding back.
I'm praying that everything's going to go fine. But if it doesn't, I got to ask the people, do you trust President Trump? I don't.
He believes the renegotiation of CUSMA could start this fall and could be difficult. Ford says his fellow premiers are all worried about their major industries. He also wants other federal action.
What we can control is making sure we lower taxes, not being one of the highest taxed jurisdictions anywhere, the highest rate of 54%. Let's lower corporate taxes until we can attract businesses and jobs and opportunities.
While Ford has called for stronger counter tariffs on U.S. products, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe has said Canada needs to remove or reduce our counter tariffs that hurt businesses on this side of the border. Some feel like this countrywide resolve is being tested.
As this has dragged on with no obvious resolution in sight, some of that determination is flagging a bit.
In an interview with CTV News on Tuesday, the U.S. ambassador to Canada cautioned that trade talks could be slow over the next weeks as U.S. President Donald Trump focuses on a deal with China. And that's why some trade experts believe Canada should refrain from retaliating.
I do think we have to hold something like a retaliation as a threat in case Trump does decide to hit us with something else.
One example of that unpredictability, President Trump announced an additional 25% tariff on goods from India because that country is importing Russian oil. And he said he could do the same to China. Marcia?
All right, Mike, thank you for that. Trump also announced Apple is adding $100 billion to the company's previous pledge to spend $500 billion in the U.S. over 4 years.
Companies like Apple, they're coming home.
The move comes after Trump threatened tariffs on Apple earlier in the year if it did not move iPhone manufacturing to the U.S. Trump also vowed to slap a 100% tariff on imported chips and semiconductors, but said there's no charge if they're built in the U.S. Accessory retail giant Claire's is filing for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. and soon in Canada. Stores in North America will stay open during the process. The changed CEO blames increased competition, spending trends, and a shift away from brick-and-mortar retail. Claire's also imports much of its goods from countries hit by Trump's tariffs. Major turbulence looms for thousands of Air Canada passengers if a new contract is not reached in 10 days with its flight attendants. The union, representing 10,000 workers, says it has an overwhelming strike mandate from its members. CTV's Judy Trin now with a look at the issues which have festered for a decade.
Mike Abraham has booked a flight to Slovenia for a bike tour. He's scheduled to take off just as Air Canada's flight attendants are poised to strike.
Even if I was to actually try to rebook it now with either with Air Canada or with a competitor, say a European airline, the price would be at least 3 times as much.
Air Canada's 10-year contract with its 10,000 flight attendants is expiring. The union says flight attendants average 35 hours of unpaid work each month.
We're not paid anytime the aircraft is not in motion. So any of the pre-flight checks, mandatory safety briefings, all the required stuff that is done on the ground prior to pushback, as well as the deplaning process.
Being paid for your hours on the job, that I think is a no-brainer. I can't possibly understand why a company wouldn't do that.
Last year, Air Canada generated operating revenues of more than $22 billion. Thousands of passengers could be impacted if a deal is not reached by August 16th.
This will be a test for the Carney government to see whether they have the intestinal fortitude to let labor relations work its way through this process.
Passenger rights advocates say customers should not take action in advance.
If Air Canada cannot provide you with an alternate transportation on its own or partner airlines that departs within 48 hours of your original departure time, they have to buy you a ticket on a competitor. So by you buying a ticket in advance, you are letting Air Canada get off the hook.
In a statement, Air Canada says it's determined to reach a fair and equitable contract with its flight attendants. Both sides return to the bargaining table on Friday. Marcia.
Judy, thanks. Big changes are coming to Aeroplan next year. Air Canada says it will reward the most frequent flyers. CTV's Pat Foran breaks down what it means for travelers.
Starting on January 1st, Aeroplan will overhaul the way its members earn points, and the biggest change means you'll earn based on how much you spend instead of how far you go. Phil McCulley is a frequent flyer and has been an Aeroplan member for the past 20 years. He's concerned business travelers buying more expensive tickets will see the greatest benefits.
But it absolutely benefits people who travel on the max fare class. So people who fly business everywhere are disproportionately benefiting from this program than people who travel, let's say, like a lower fare class.
The majority of our members are going to be better off than they were before.
Air Canada says the changes to the loyalty program will benefit those who engage with the airline and its partners the most. Starting in the new year, you'll earn 1 Aeroplan point per dollar spent. In 2 examples on Air Canada's website, it states if you book a flight between Toronto and Montreal with a base fare of $427, you'll earn 427 Aeroplan points. In another example, if you booked a round trip from Montreal to Paris and the base fare is $1,500, under the current plan you would receive almost 7,000 points, but under the new plan you'll receive 1,500 Aeroplan points. The more you pay, the more points you'll get.
It can't be seen as a positive, but it can't be seen as negative either. It really comes down to the individual, whether these changes are good for you or not.
Rewards Canada, a website that studies loyalty programs, says those who pay more for expensive flights will achieve elite status faster and rack up more points than those who are searching for bargains.
The more you spend with the airline, the more you're going to be rewarded, whether it's elite status or with points earning as well.
The changes are also more in line with other airlines that have also moved to revenue-based models. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Coming up, what we know about the suspect in a shooting at a U.S. military base. Plus, a bear of a scare for a hockey mascot in the woods. Military officials are still searching for a motive after an Army sergeant allegedly opened fire on his fellow soldiers at a U.S. Army base in Georgia. 5 people are now recovering in hospital. The suspect is in custody. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin.
Terrifying moments on a U.S. military base. Fort Stewart, Georgia's largest Army base, on lockdown after a gunman opened fire.
They have an active shooter on Fort Stewart.
5 soldiers were injured, 3 needed surgery, but are in stable condition and expected to recover. The alleged shooter, 28-year-old Sergeant Cornelius Radford. He was on active duty at the base and taken into custody thanks to some brave soldiers.
Soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
The commander says quick action likely saved lives. Fort Stewart is a tightly secured military base in Georgia, home to about 10,000 soldiers and their families. The Army says the gunman used a handgun, not a personal weapon, to shoot his fellow soldiers. Personal weapons are not allowed on base. The suspect, a logistics expert, was working with heavy weapons and battle tanks, but never deployed to battle. He'd been arrested on suspicion of drunk driving, and investigators are looking at a possible disagreement he might have had with one of the victims.
The shooting occurred at the soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers. We're still not certain about the motivations.
President Trump briefed on the frightening situation, grateful the injured soldiers will survive.
The perpetrator of this atrocity, which is exactly what it is, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Because the shooting happened on an Army base, the suspect will be tried in a military court of justice. Marcia?
Joy, thank you. Still ahead. Why this Quebec fishmonger is becoming a major catch. The NHL season is still 2 months away, but for one player and a mascot, the off-season has been pretty adventurous.
We got a bear.
Oh, I gotta break you off now.
Okay.
Hey, Sam, we got a bear. We gotta move down.
A close call for Seattle Kraken forward John Hayden and the team's blue-haired troll mascot, who were chased by a very real grizzly bear during a video promo shoot in Alaska. They made it out in one piece, but barely.
This one chopped foul, and that one is called by the third base umpire, Jen Powell.
That was Jen Powell making the call in a preseason game. And today, Major League Baseball announced she will become the first woman to work as an umpire in a regular season game, working the bases during Saturday's doubleheader between Miami and Atlanta. The 48-year-old will then be behind home plate for Sunday's game.
Dear Whitecap supporters, I'm very excited to come to Vancouver. Let's do something special together.
A German soccer legend is coming to Canada. Thomas Muller has signed with the Vancouver Whitecaps. The 35-year-old won the World Cup with Germany in 2014. He also won the Champions League twice and the German League title 13 times. A fishmonger in Mirabel, Quebec is making waves for selling giant lobsters. The latest one weighing a whopping 12 pounds. It sold for $170. It's enough to feed 20 people. The owners say large lobsters taste the same, but the meat is a little tougher. Still ahead.
They think that I'm way older.
The inside scoop on a young entrepreneur from PEI. This next story may just melt your heart. During this hot summer weather, a young ice cream entrepreneur in PEI is serving up smiles with her sweet treats and dedication to dessert. CTV's Maria Saru has the scoop.
When customers ring the bell at Scooper's Dairy Bar, the pint-sized entrepreneur behind the counter
Hi, how can I help you?
is sometimes a surprise.
They think that I'm way older.
Roya Cooper, just 11 years old, runs the shop. Some cash she had saved up helped start it. A small business loan covered the rest.
I thought ice cream was really cool. I loved eating it, and I wanted to start my own business.
It's not her first enterprise. When she was 6, she made French books out of Post-it notes.
She sold those bad boys for $5 a piece to tourists. She loves money. Always has.
Roya's parents operate several businesses, including the Brudenell riding stables right next door.
It's unreal.
Super proud.
And she's so good at doing everything.
Scooping can get sticky, and Roya's last employee threw in the towel.
Too much cleaning for her.
So for now, she works 7 days a week. Most of the time, customers leave happy.
I love the ice cream, and the chocolate, of course, is my favorite.
But Roya has learned you can't please everyone.
Some are like, this ice cream scoop isn't so big, you have to redo it.
Her latest creation is nacho ice cream, which comes with a big scoop, sauce, sprinkles, and waffle chips. But her favorite flavor is peanut butter fudge crunch.
Roya says she wants to serve many more Sundays in the years to come. Her dream is that the business will grow with her. Maria Saru, CTV News, Brudenell, Prince Edward Island.
And that's our show for this Wednesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.